My wife and I are going on a 4-week road trip to see the April 8, 2024 solar eclipse, and we need a vehicle.
This is episode 2, by the way. Click below for a playlist, because there will be more.
We could just take my 2007 Toyota Matrix, but then we'd have to sleep in hotels, motels, and campsites the whole way. And I don't want to do that because then you have to predict where you're going to be ahead of time if you want to make a reservation and then arrive there before the person taking the reservation goes to bed. And if you don't make a reservation, then you risk not getting a spot at all, which is crazy because there will be millions of people going to the eclipse. And the closer you get to the eclipse path, the harder it's going to be to find a place to sleep. I just don't want to deal with it, okay? So we're going to get a camper van. That's what we're going to do. Camper van. Then we can sleep anywhere. Kind of. Not really. I'll explain later.
Okay, but you probably don't need a camper van. Just use your existing vehicle. We're only doing it this way because we're spending 4 weeks on the road doing lots of other stuff as well.
To rent a camper van is approximately
$200 to $300 a day. My script says $170 a day, but these websites were lying to me. That's the price before adding extra mileage, necessary extras, and taxes. Ugh.
So it's not even worth it. That's too expensive. It turns out that it's cheaper just to buy a camper van and then sell it after the trip is over, at least for this particular trip. So that's what I'm gonna do. Now, choosing a camper van is no small task with no single right answer, and it depends on lots of things, such as budget. How many miles are you going to travel? How many people will there be? How tall are those people? I've put it all right over here with my answers for this trip. I've learned a lot about camper vans, but let me just give you the summary. The kind of vehicles that you would find at a typical RV world kind of place are just excessive in every possible way, including price and gas mileage. I would never buy one of these. For the ultimate in luxury glamping, nothing beats a converted Mercedes Sprinter. There are so many beautiful builds, but they cost $100,000 to $200,000. I really want one, but I can't afford it. Also, most of them have the bed perpendicular to the road, which saves space, but it's too short for me. I'm 6'3". And I'll have Catherine with me, so I can't sleep diagonally either. As far as I'm concerned, the most perfect form factor is the Volkswagen Westfalia. It's relatively small while still being able to seat and sleep 4 people. It's got 2 rotating front seats, a table, and a pop top, so you can stand up with a built-in sink and kitchen area, plus a bonus shower spout on the back. And they hold their value really well. So what's the catch? They're all really old, and the maintenance costs are horrific. About 80% of the Westfalias I looked at online had some variation of engine rebuilt at 300,000 kilometers. There are a lot of really cool, cute, and cheap Japanese imports. This one is named Momo. The steering wheel being on the wrong side isn't a total deal breaker, but the expense and difficulty of finding replacement parts is. This Ford Slumber Queen is actually wide enough that I can fit in the perpendicular bed, unlike every other vehicle we looked at. It's also got a bathroom and shower, but it's overall just too big, with horrible gas mileage and cheap construction. I was too tall to fit in a Dodge Grand Caravan, even sitting down, and the suspension was also really soft. This Ford Transit Connect was too small, and with no windows in the back, it was also too dark. This GMC Safari was promising, even though the kitchen area is outside, but it drove away to Toronto before I could have a look. And finally, this converted 2016 Ford Transit looked really good on paper. Reverse camera, AC, solar panels, max air fan, Chinese diesel heater, passenger swivel seat, a fridge, lights, a sink, tons of storage under the bed, even though you have to get to it from behind. It even came with winter tires and chains. 233,000 kilometers on the odometer, which is not great, but we still took it for a test drive. And it was pretty good. So I paid $226 to have it inspected. Turns out the air conditioning doesn't work. The owner had been recharging it with sealant every year to keep it going, and this just ruins the system. Somebody did the same thing to my Matrix, which is why it also has no air conditioning. It's really expensive to fix. Also, the front end needed some fixes, which I hear is typical maintenance for this sort of vehicle. So that's a total of $3,400 in repairs, not including the cracked windshield and the paint problems. Anyway, I asked for the seller to knock $3,000 off the price. She agreed, so I bought it for $28,000. Was this a bad idea? You tell me. I did pay to fix the front end problems, but I just didn't bother with the air conditioning. We won't need it for April. Maybe I'll fix it later. Probably not. So let's take it out for a test trip, shall we? But first, did you make a reservation at a hotel or Airbnb for the night before the eclipse? Are you sure? Because my Uncle Corey did that, and they just canceled it on him without even telling him. What?
So you know how to take the reservation, you just don't know how to hold the reservation.
Oh, we're renovating. So anyway, you should probably get your reservations in writing. Not that that'll help you very much when you get there, and they still don't have a room for you anyway. So like I said, remember to bring a tent. Okay, good luck, everyone.
So I fully edited this next part, which turned out to be 17 minutes of some fairly uninteresting adventures, and that's just too long. Then I realized, oh, of course, I can just narrate over the whole thing to make it shorter, so that's what I'm gonna do. Right, listen, I already made a lot of mistakes with this vehicle. First, I left the refrigerator running for several days while it was at the mechanic, so I thought I had drained the battery and ruined it, but it turns out it was fine. Then I nearly wrecked the plumbing by leaving the water in the tanks over winter to freeze. Fortunately, it warmed up long enough for me to drain the tanks properly.
Oh,
It
God.
works! It's not broken!
Oh, and I forgot about taxes. I had to pay $3,669 in taxes and insurance. On our first adventure, I spilled some diesel fuel in the back while trying to refill the tank for the heater, which I still don't know how to operate. And we learned that ferry staff keep an eye out for recreational vehicles that could be using propane.
Hi folks, is your propane gas turned off at your main valve?
After 7 years of working at Subway, I have onion immunity, so Catherine always makes me cut the onions.
You're an excellent onion cutter.
If I was permanently van lifing, oh man, so much for the onion immunity. I would need a van I could stand up in.
Look at how good that
looks.
On our trip, I experimented with some cinematic shots, but I just couldn't take them seriously. Oh, and I have a drone now, so I've been practicing with that. It's pretty sweet, but apparently I have to study for a $175 test to earn a Part 107 license if I want to fly it commercially in the United States. So that's a lot more hassle that I'm not looking forward to. While flying a drone, make sure you watch out for dog attacks.
Oh, now he's your friend, huh? All right, let's send this doggo home before the bugs get in the van.
The next weekend, we went for a 2-night test trip starting in Weimar. Wow, Weimar! That night we accidentally made too much food, so now I know we should bring containers for the real trip.
Well, you wanted to gain some weight.
And apparently, even a tinted window still needs a cover on it if you want privacy at night.
This is ISO 409,600.
Even with the windows open and the fan open, but it wasn't running.
Lots of condensation.
I'm definitely going to get the windscreen replaced before the big trip. The seller told me that it's just $200 with insurance to fix it, and I should have asked her to get it fixed and just paid her the $200 if I had to. Because as I found out when buying insurance, they're not gonna cover a pre-existing crack in the windshield, right? Like duh. So now I'm gonna have to pay the full cost of the repair myself. Lesson learned. And I'll definitely also buy a windscreen repair kit for the journey in case I get little dings in the windshield. I experimented with the drone some more. It has a follow feature that works, but unfortunately, it keeps rotating around in kind of a stupid way. I'm not sure what to do about that. I did try just following the van manually, which actually worked a lot better. We left the fan running overnight, which took care of the condensation problem, but then the van interior was colder than the refrigerator, which is hilarious. Also, the damage to the exterior paint is worse than I realized when I bought the van, or maybe it's just gotten worse because rust grows. I really don't want to pay a body shop like $1,000 to fix this, so I think I'm just going to sandpaper off the rust spots, put spray paint on top of that according to the door code, and then I think you need to put clear coat on top of that and just call it good. It won't be perfectly smooth, but I don't care. It's just gonna get dinged up more anyway as we do the journey. The previous owner used this thing, so maybe I'll just get one of those for the small touch-ups, but you can see that some of her repairs are already growing rust again. Is that just because she didn't sand away all of the rust, or is it for some other reason? And finally, I've got a battery problem. After our 2 minor adventures, the van has just been sitting in our driveway, but it's been so cloudy that the solar panels have not been able to charge up the battery. So it's just been slowly draining from the parasitic load from the inverter and the LEDs and stuff. The system will beep to let you know that the battery is too low, but I didn't hear it because it was outside, because we have not been living in there. So it was just doing that for days, and it got down to 9.85 volts, which I think is really bad. So I bought a trickle charger to fill it back up again, which did work slowly. When the battery's full, it reads 14 volts. Basically, for a lead acid battery, 12 volts means your battery is 50% drained, which is actually the lowest you want it to get. So you should pretend that 50% is actually 0%. So going well below that means that the longevity of my battery has probably been reduced. That is, the number of amp hours. Although watt hours are more accurate, but everyone does it in amp hours. The previous owner says it had 110 amp hours, but I don't know how to check what it actually has right now. Also, can someone tell me what that is in watt hours? Do I just multiply by 12 volts? Cause I know it doesn't have 53 kilowatt hours. Anyway, even before all of this, the battery would get down to 12 volts after just one night of leaving the fridge and fan on low. So I think the battery already wasn't too great to begin with. Again, how do I measure the amp hours on this thing? All of this means that my plan to sit inside the van, laptop plugged in, editing videos for hours, probably is not going to happen. I'm trying to take an establishing shot, implying that we're inside the van and you're hey! Because the laptop battery is not great either. It's from 2017. So I'll probably have to do most of my video editing in McDonald's and Starbuckses and libraries and stuff. That's not the sort of vacation I was hoping for. Unless I get myself a better battery. Now, I could just buy one of these all-in-one units from Jackery, Evergear, Bluetti, EcoFlow, Togo, or whomever, but according to my research, these things are all quite overpriced per watt hour. Everyone says that it's cheaper just to build your own setup, like this 640 watt hour milk crate thing that looks like a bomb, and that has mostly the kind of stuff I have already, so maybe I just need a new battery to go inside my system. That's the direction I'm leaning in at the moment, but what do you think? This Jackery thing is $1 per watt hour, whereas the milk crate thing is $1.09 per watt hour. So I don't understand why everyone says these things are overpriced. Like, I read this whole article, which keeps saying that, but then gives no actual dollar figures for anything. So what exactly is the problem? Are they triple counting their amp hours? Is it a longevity thing? Is it cheap, low-quality components? Is it a slow charging problem? Then why say that the problem is the expense for the capacity? Am I missing something here?
Anyway, I'm gonna go study for that drone exam, read this 382-page ebook on how to photograph the eclipse, and test my new 400mm lens. Oh, the next episode will probably be in late March when we're already on the road, so I'll see you then. Bye.